Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Legislator Hathaway.
Here.
Legislator Verkler. Here. Legislator Gilbert.
Here.
Legislator Chartrand.
Here.
Legislator Morahan has been excused. Legislator Leviker.
Here.
Legislator Osborne.
Here.
Legislator Nellenbach.
Here.
And Legislator Dahlhoff.
Here. Everyone please stand for the invocation and the pledge. Legislator Hathaway, would you lead us in the invocation, please? I'd be happy to.
Father, I always say and I always will, we thank you for the blessings you bestow upon us. Many of them are known and many of them are unknown, but all of them are appreciated. And Father, I would really like to have you continue to protect and help all our county employees that come to work every day to help the people of Lewis County. There's so many, and their one job is to help the county population, and they do a great job at it. Please continue to be with them and protect them and help them in their efforts. And would you please help our country to get back to where we belong, to where we started, one nation, under God. Please guide us in that path, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The July 5th board meeting minutes have been distributed. If there are no amendments, they stand approved. Report of the Financial Rules Committee for Rule 6, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee has met, and they recommend to waive rules to act upon late resolutions.
I have a motion for that. Lisa, second by Dick. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Privilege of the floor. Is there anyone here who would like privilege of the floor? Seeing no hands, we'll move on to presentations of petitions, communications, and notices.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A letter was received from Lewis County Farm Bureau citing New York Farm Bureau policy that supports the concerns raised by adjacent landowners. They support the development of a managed trail system on county-owned property, not in the rail corridor, which could negatively impact private farms and families that make a living from the land. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Reports of county officers and departments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Legislators received the monthly treasurer's report, monthly highway and solid waste audit reports. They also received a report from senior code official Ward Daly on a home located at 5507 Trinity Avenue, Village of Laval, which cites the property as unsafe, unfit for human occupancy, and therefore condemned. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Reports of standing committees. Tom, would you start us off with finance and rules, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to authorize CNS companies to create and send out an RFP for the construction phase of the DMV Board of Elections addition and renovation project.
Moved by Tom, second by Josh. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And that's all I have at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Tom? Now we'll move on to Ian with General Services Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing to report today.
And I have a note here that Phil has some comments that he'd like to.
I just want to do a real quick shout out to the Doug Hill Commission. They put together in conjunction with several other groups that I don't have the list, so I don't want to name and let somebody out, but they put together a webinar on the Castellan Journal, and it was really, really interesting and informative. And I'm sure a lot of effort went into that, and I just wanted to give them a shout out. And it's on their website if anybody wants to watch it. That's it.
Make her watch it and then lost track of it. Okay, thank you. Lisa, Health and Human Services Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one motion to authorize Social Services Commissioner Jennifer Jones to create and send out an RFQ for engineering services on concept phase of permanent and transitional housing options.
Moved by Lisa, second by Dick. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries.
And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Lisa? Now we'll move on to Dick, the board's rep on the hospital board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had recognition of several employees, and I'd like to share it with the board here. First of all, the June Employee of the Month was Jacqueline Simmons. She's an RN nurse in Skilled Nursing Facility 1. And she's Employee of the Month for June. Congratulate her if you see her. Then we had two retirements. We had a proclamation in honor of Miss Holly Spencer and Mrs. Joyce Prescott, clinic manager. Mrs. Spencer was committed throughout her career to the vision and mission of health systems with a particular focus on patient satisfaction. We wish Mrs. Spencer a happy and healthy retirement and great joy as she spends time with her family. Mrs. Joyce Prescott was a dedicated employee of Lewis County Health Systems with 3.5 years of county of service in County Family Practice Group. Before that employment, she was engaged with the health system for 36 years and supported Dr. Quickless and Dr. Manny's practice in the medical arts building. Whereas Mrs. Prescott was committed throughout her career to the mission and vision of the health system in her roles over the years, and lastly, in her role as office manager, where she played an integral role in working with providers and patients and employees. She was available to all patients and able to help them gain access to the needed services. She also enjoyed working with her teammates and being there to help them make the right decisions and solve problems. We wish Mrs. Prescott a happy and healthy retirement to enjoy time with her husband and children and grandchildren and traveling to Florida in the winter months. We had concern from some people that with all the construction we're doing for the OR, that we lost a lot of trees up there. That was a visual that a lot of the people in the nursing home enjoyed being able to watch and stuff. So Mr. Kerr reassured them that as the project nears completion on the other end, that part will be taken care of with proper landscaping. And Mike Young added that since it was a brick wall, retaining wall in there, we could color the concrete in there as we pour that, and then Rick Tagg, architect, said we could also make it a living wall by having plants and stuff growing with it. So we assured the people that with concerns that we would take care of that. Then we have almost a once in a lifetime happening here. Haney's is going to visit Lewis County on August 31st at our Board of Managers meeting. And I'm going to yield to Jerry Kerr to expand on that.
All right, thank you. Yeah, this is exciting. First time for such a visit to Lewis County. And on behalf of the board, I would invite any of the members of the Board of Legislators to join us. The areas of focus will be a state of the state of New York State hospitals and projections for 2023. What should we expect from Albany and Washington? And that's not a punchline, it's sincere. And a question and answer session. The president of Haney's is Bea Grouse. She is a nurse by training and then went to law school and has worked in this role in Haney's for the last dozen years or so. So it really will give some insight as to what's happening at the state level, but also national.
What was the date and time on that?
That will be August 31st. And our board meeting will start at 4:30. And I expect she'll make her presentation at about 4:45.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Will that be here, Jerry?
At this point, we were planning on the Herman Conference Room, but you raise a good point. Let me take that
Sure.
back and work on what location might be best. I have also, one last item to report on is, I've talked with Ryan and we've come up with a date to have the Board of Legislators come up to the campus and visit the different parts of the construction project, which would include the demolition site for medical surgical, the west side of the unit, the former adult day health space, which will become an access point to the new building, and 2 points to visit that'll give you a great overview of the outside work. So Ryan and I have kind of put that together. He'll communicate to you the details you need, and at any point, if that doesn't work for you, just let us know, and we'd be happy to give you a one-on-one tour of the work. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Barton,
Thank you,
any
Jerry.
questions? That's all I've got, Barton, any questions?
Anyone have any questions for Jerry or Dick? Now we'll move on to the report of our project managers, Jim and Nick Garrido.
Again, I'd like to thank the county manager and the legislature for the opportunity to report on your project. In today's industry, one of the things we're faced with are supply chain issues. We were aware of the metal buildings prior to bid. It's still somewhat of a supply chain problem we're running into, but we feel that the substantial date for building closure of January is still achievable. The biggest problem that we're facing with supply chain issues are panels for the electrical contractor, and Nick has a much tighter grip of that, but working on that.
Before the job, they were indicating at least 12 months out on electrical panels. They got something inside of the boxes. As we demo, we're not going to throw away all the panels. We're going to save them and like a DSS, save all the panels and try and come up with a way that if the new panels don't come in, we'll have temporary panels. And as demo starts here shortly, we'll know more what you have, what's in the buildings, and try and work through the supply chain concerns.
Again, we still don't have a confirmed date of delivery, and we're working with the electrical contractor on that, and that could impact the overall completion of the job. If there's nothing that we can do, and it's kind of, recently had a conversation with a colleague, and this whole supply chain stuff started with toilet paper. No one knows what's next, and it's kind of what we're faced with in our industry. But we're trying to manage it. We developed a schedule that we felt was achievable prior to bid, and it's still achievable at this point in time. But the thing is,
Just out of curiosity, where are panels made? Is it one country or several?
I'm sure there's parts from all over the world that come in.
we can't hurry those people. Try to hurry them, they go from slower to slower. So, but I had several conversations with an electrical contractor. He's doing everything he can do to manage this.
Is it slowing down your other phases, or is this something you can put off, and it's just gonna affect your final completion date?
One building, it could impact.
The highway garage has a lot of panels and a lot of new panels, so that's up in the air. And they're updating us every 2 weeks on where these panels are. And they still don't have dates, so.
Well, remember, we offer to pay for storage for any of our vendors, our contractors that want to order their equipment up front. So they've been trying to order, since the board voted to award those contracts. So it's not something new. It's, we've been pushing and pushing and pushing since we inked those contracts. So
This month, we had more store materials for ductwork. This is the first time my career was ever paid for sheet metal for ductwork in advance to store it, but who knows when we need it, if there's a shortage. And as long as the contractors have the proper insurance, and it's labeled property of Lewis County, that's how you allow contractors to bill for stored materials. So continuing to push that to the contractors, but if they can't get a panel, we can't store it. So that one building could be a problem. And that's what we're here to report to you, so there's no surprise at the end. And back at DSS, we kind of have to do what we need to do to use the existing panels to limp through until the other ones show up. We'll know more once we get to the demo in that building.
Have the drawings come through for the metal building?
Not yet.
And that's another issue that the industry is having. They have to go through and make, we call them shop drawings. There's a shortage of people creating shop drawings, that pushing everything out. And the most recent issue that we're running into with supply chain is rebar is out. I didn't anticipate rebar being out. That used to be off the shelf. You call work for engineering, 3-4 days, we'll have it. Now it's out 8 weeks.
Well, as you explained, without the shop drawings, we can't even order the rebar because we don't know what size and configurations.
That's exactly the problem that we're seeing. And they're pushing, the general contractors pushing their subcontractors to get the drawings in. And CNS has been very responsive on turning stuff around once they get it. But again, CNS can't approve something that they don't have.
Right.
And the contractor can't produce it if he can't get someone to make the drawings. The industry is in a position I've never seen in my experience like this.
I think it's important to note, though, that despite the electrical panels, despite the drawings and the rebar, and despite some holdup we're still facing with the Department of Transportation, the big schedule that you see on the whiteboard in my office, the big Gantt chart, we're still on target for all of those dates. So we're trying to talk about some things that could impact, final delivery dates, but as of right now, we're still on our initial schedule.
Yeah, we're still within the schedule we anticipated prior to bid. We're still within that period. There's always little hiccups here and there on different things. So some of the things we're running into are not typical that you see in construction. Manpower is a problem too, hiring people. And I'm sure, Josh, you're going into that. Manpower
It's a
is
different world. The industry's changed.
But we are on the master schedule, master milestone dates. That's the key. We extended those from typical durations that we would have seen 4 or 5 years ago. We built that into the milestones for the project. So we're still within those, but there are some hiccups we are running into. Are there any questions?
Thanks. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, move on to the county manager report. There we go.
I'm gonna turn it over to Phil for my county manager report this month.
It's done.
Great job. Good job.
So I just want to mention 2 things really quickly. First, so along with the project moving along, as Jim and Nick have noted, we are moving this week. So Monday was the first day of our move to, from the Human Services Building on Stowe Street to Glenfield Elementary School in Glenfield. The movers showed up Monday. There's about 30 of them with 3 tractor trailers. And I think all of us at first were a little intimidated by the amount of people that showed up. And they were really fast getting some things moved out of the Stowe Street building, but getting them settled and up the stairs in the old Glenfield. They were a little slower today, moving things up into the new building. So they've certainly got the Army here to move stuff, but we certainly have a lot of stuff to move. We're talking about 100 employees and, all of that IT equipment, all of those desks. That's a lot of stuff. So we're hoping that it can be done, in less than 2 weeks. Every day that the movers, save, right? They quoted us 10 days. Every day less than 10 days is money that we save. So we want to try to do our best to stay ahead of them and allow them to move as quickly as they can. But we also want to be respectful of our staff and not push them so hard that they're, stressed out and going crazy and don't have a place to work. So I would say that the Commissioner Jones and her staff and Crystal at OFA have done a really nice job. They're, the attitudes that I've seen the last 2 days have been really positive. They've been really, flexible, professional, practical, and just overall, I think, good attitudes. And it's not an easy situation. We've got to recognize that we're asking a lot out of our employees here. But hopefully the end result of being in a new building will be worth it. And so I just want to say thank you to all of our employees. DSS, Office for the Aging, obviously, they're the ones that have been impacted the most. But really, Matt and the Buildings and Grounds crew have been phenomenal. I mean, these punch lists that we've had at Glenfield have been literally hundreds of items over the last 6 months, and they've handled it, extremely well. The IT crew, Connor and his team, and Lisa, with DSS, they've had a ton of work to do as well. They continue to have a ton of work to do because now that all the data and electrical is set up, they have to set up each desktop and printer and fax machine and everything else, and it's just a lot. So Connor and his guys have been working really hard, and we're really sweaty the last couple of days, and the same with Matt and his guys. So we've got a great team at the county, and we should be really proud of all the work that they've done. Like I said, it'll all pay off when we move back into the new Stowe Street location. Regarding the DMV drawings, they're in my office on the conference table. So if anyone's interested, just pop in afterwards, or I got to see a few of you guys before to walk you through those prints. But anyone who wants a little more level of detail, we can go through those prints. But Jake at the county clerk's office and the commissioners at Board of Elections have signed off on those floor plans. So we should be good to go with that. Last thing I'll note is that we had our first 2023 budget meeting of the year today with the Board of Legislators budget that Cassandra prepared for you. And we'll be meeting with all the other departments throughout the rest of the month. And we'll be into budget presentations here this fall in September and October. So it's hard to believe, but we're coming up on that season again. So barring any questions, that's my report.
Brian, they asked for that first one, that's less than last year's ask, is it?
Yes, you're all getting cut severely.
Any other questions for Ryan? If not, we'll move on to the county treasurer report here, please.
Thank you. You have my written report and just a few items to highlight. I would follow Ryan's last comment with that the board clerk Cassandra brings, I think, the most energy to the presentations probably of any of the department managers. So that's a challenge, I guess, anybody else out there forthcoming. Our audited financial statements are complete. I think it was a month ago. Approximately our auditors were here to give you kind of the highlights. I got the final documents just a couple days ago. I'm going to email those out to all of you. If you do want a hard copy, let me know. You can let me know tonight, or when I send you an email and reply to that, I'll get you a hard copy. As stated in my written report, our property foreclosure auction is on the calendar and moving forward. We're excited about that. First one in almost 2 years. So that's on August 24th. I think we're going to have in the low 30s number of properties. We've actually had 3 or 4 payments received just in the last week or two. And just an update, I think, from your discussion last month, the property lines fall we discussed last month did make a payment. So we're happy to have that one repurchased and off the roll or off the list. And that's all I have.
Questions for Eric?
Eric, I noticed in the Times, they had a thing about Jefferson, St. Lawrence, and Lewis County and sales tax issue. You're showing a plus 9% here, which I believe is correct. Aren't they showing us a 25% decrease or something in that article? Or was that different?
I didn't read that specifically, Dick, but if it was referring to recent, I mean, we have had in the last 2 months, our payments for that 2-month period have been probably a 25% increase. So
Okay, so
that's possible. That's what they were referring to, is the recent collections, but the year as a whole is it the 9% increase.
Thank you.
It's 25% down from where it was 2 months ago, or?
No, the collections received over the last, if you look at the schedule I gave you over the last 3 or 4 payments has been a decrease. I would think 25%, without doing the math, is probably the ballpark. So that's probably what they were reporting. We had one significant decrease at the end of June, decrease from the prior year. There is kind of this process the state goes through where they use calculations and they send sales tax funds out to all of the counties. And then New York City is separate. And then they, after about 2 months, they reconcile that. And there's often a time where they will take money back from the counties and give it to the city or vice versa. So that June payment that was so low is still kind of in question if we will see an adjustment and maybe bump that back up a little bit. It's been a couple years of kind of changes in the way the state has reconciled. Started with COVID, the pandemic influence on sales tax collections. It's been again a lot of changes in the way the state has reconciled. So there's a chance that decrease we saw, we might still get a little bit of a back pay, but undetermined at this point. If that makes
We're
sense.
pulling for that vice versa.
Correct, yeah.
Then if I could ask one more question. The health insurance fund balance, 3,239,000, that's the one that we want to keep under 4, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
we were
plus or minus.
well above 4 a year or more ago, and so some of the actions we've taken with health insurance holidays, we've brought that down. That's definitely a number that's much more in the reasonable range of what we think makes sense for the
But that was
fund.
my point, though. Our actions did, the
Definitely,
protection of our actions worked.
definitely, yeah. We've been pretty steady at that amount for 6 months or more, probably even a year.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Report of the Financial Rules Committee for Rule 7, please, Cassandra.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee reports that they have examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $1,798,572.24 and recommend that they be audited and allowed for the amounts claimed.
Need a motion, please? Phil, second by Lisa. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. So we'll move on to resolution. And what ones would you like, Phil?
We are going to pull 173, 174, 182, 189, and the late resolution, which is 191.
Okay, are there any other resolutions that any legislator would like pulled? In addition to these already mentioned? If not, could I have a motion to pass the slate? Lisa, second by Tom. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Slate carries. Back to 173.
Resolution number 173 is auditing and allowing claims in the amount of $1,798,572.24.
Moved by Lisa, second by Phil. Any discussion? Roll call.
Legislator Chartrand.
Yes.
Legislator Gilbert.
Yes.
Legislator Hathaway.
Yes.
Legislator Leviker.
Yes.
Legislator Morahan has been excused. Legislator Mellenbach.
Yes.
Legislator Osborne.
Yes.
Legislator Verkor.
Yes.
And Legislator Dolhoff.
Yes.
Resolution number 174, resolution appointing Lewis County Legislator to fill District Number 3 vacancy, and that would be Jessica L. Mosier.
Moved by Phil, second by Dick. Any discussion? This is roll call also. This is just, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So can we hold up here for a second and
Yes.
move to other business and proceed with the swearing in of Jessica at this point? So if you'd come up.
May I approach, Chairman?
Thank you.
Where would you like?
That's fine.
Right here. I'll try to go slow. Okay. Please place your hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. I, Jessica L. Mosier,
I, Jessica L. Mosier,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of New York,
and the Constitution of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office
of the office
as Lewis County Legislator
of Lewis County Legislator
in and for the County of Lewis
and for the County of Lewis
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you for stepping up and welcome to the team, and you can sit and join us in the rest of the discussion. I think we're on 182, right?
Yep, resolution number 182 is a resolution rescinding resolution numbers 55 and 79 of 2022 and authorizing one-year agreements with the Copenhagen Central School District, South Lewis Central School District, and Harrisville Central School District, and the County of Lewis to provide a school resource officer for each district for a 12-month period in 2022 and 2023.
Moved by Phil, second by Jeff. Discussion. Caitlin, if you would, in this on section 2, it states that the sheriff is authorized to create a new full-time road patrol deputy position. If the SRO is filled by a current road patrol deputy, in order to maintain the current level of road employees, would you drill into that a little bit and tell us how many full-time positions we're actually creating here?
So this resolution will create one full-time position because Copenhagen is a new addition to the SRO program. So South Lewis and Harrisville have already had their backfills created. So this will just be for Copenhagen in order to assign a current road patrol deputy there and allow for a backfill to maintain the same head count on the road.
Thank you. Anyone else have any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to express again my gratitude for everybody who's involved in the negotiations from the school and from the county, and especially for our staff in the last few weeks who were scrambling to get this done. Thank you very much.
I did hear from the superintendents and went through the general terms that the board had, that the committee had discussed. And they'll be getting copies of the agreements now tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution number 189, resolution authorizing sale of county-owned parcel through an online auction.
Moved by Tom, second by Lisa. Discussion.
Yeah, I have a discussion. Did I send you, Jeff, the information on that, or did I forget? I forgot. Okay, So, Tim, can you talk a little about what we know and what we don't know about those pits? Because we had some emails going back and forth, and I must have forgot to send it on to you. Because we had talked about this at committee, so Tim can talk about some of that.
The PIP was gifted to Lewis County back in, I believe, 1954 is what we discovered, somewhere right after the war. We've taken most of the gravel out of that pit. We'd have to start doing subsurface mining at this point. It's hard to value the gravel that's left because sand and gravel the consistency is different and you just don't know what you're getting into. There's not much though. That's what I can tell you is there's not much. We also don't have the equipment to process it. We don't have screeners, crushers, and we are using all state specified materials in everything we do now. So, and there's the trucking issue with it being Carthage. So it really doesn't have a lot of value to the county.
What we were talking about though is the value, what could be left underneath the ground. Is there any way for us to pay for an analysis or something? I mean, if we auction it, we don't know the value of what's under there, you know?
So the quarries, that's fairly easy, but with a sand and gravel bed, it's hard to tell how much sand, how much gravel's there. And everything now is going down. So, I mean, everything that's above the surface has been removed. So I really don't believe there's much there, but, and most of the people around here who have any expertise in that don't want to give us a valuation because they may be interested.
There you go.
Ryan's thinking maybe we could be the Plunkets. I think that was the name of the people there in California.
Tell them we can find it.
Struck oil.
Well,
Yeah. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Mr. Chairman, this is a roll call.
Sorry.
Legislator Berkler?
Yes.
Legislator Gilbert?
Yes.
Legislator Morahan has been excused. Legislator Nellenbach?
Yes.
Legislator Hathaway?
Yes.
Legislator Mosier?
Yes.
Legislator Chartran?
Yes.
Legislator Leviker?
Yes.
Legislator Osborne?
Yes.
And Legislator Zalhoff.
Yes.
And the last resolution is to appoint Superintendent of Highways, Timothy Hunt.
How many times we gonna appoint you, kid?
this is the third time.
We need a motion, please. Lisa, second by Dick. Discussion. I can read it off, but are we sure we want to do this? I set ourselves up for more abuse.
There is a history to this though, Larry, right? That came with us hiring Tim and the prior positions and stuff that got us to this point today.
Yes, he filled the prior unexpired term.
Just so everybody.
Now he has his full 4-year term.
You have a great memory, Dick.
Only at times.
Yeah. Selective too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? And the motion carries.
Pizza's on Tim.
So under other business, I have one more item. And that would be, we would like to take this time to recognize one of our employees, Maria Garrido, who recently performed above and beyond her scope of work. During a routine call as an employment specialist at DSS, information was received that could have been harmful to one of her clients. Maria's ability to identify this as a crisis, communicate with a client over the phone in a calm, engaging manner while discreetly enlisting the help of her team members allowed the proper authorities to be notified to provide a welfare check that ensured the safety of this community member. On behalf of the Board of Legislators, I would like to extend our appreciation for your outstanding service to our community. Thank you, And I have a certificate here for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very nice. Okay, next, I need a motion to go into an exempt session, attorney-client exempt session to update the board on litigation. So motion for executive session, Jeff, second by Lisa. Everyone, any discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? We'll be in executive session.
Welcome, Jessica. Thank you.
Actual
Hey, it's
maps,
3 versus 10.
I mean, that's.
We have Michelle and Sandra. Yes. Yeah.
You'll appreciate this. Hey, Tim, it's good to see some person on some of those. We had no late night there.